welcome to the Cav Cast, episode 7. Tonight, we will be mowing down mission making with our very own First Lieutenant Beiter. He is one of our S3 Arma mission makers that's probably at the top of the pack for that. He is the First Lieutenant and XO for Charlie Company and 1st Battalion. And yeah, he's had a pretty good career so far in the Cav, and I'm excited to kind of get down into the nitty gritty with him. Beiter, do you have anything you want to add or say about yourself before we get started? Nice. Cool. Awesome. So yeah, we'll kind of get started with some easy questions then, and then we can kind of go from there. But let's start out with what led you to kind of get into the Cav and kind of pursue your career, and how did you end up in your current role, both as Charlie XO and as the Arma 3 ops lead?
Months, couple like I think it was like 5 or 6 months down the line, in 2-2, and then took the SL position in 3-2, and then shortly after I did that, I got bumped to first platoon as their PL, beginning of this year.
Hey, Biter, hold up before. It sounds like we're having some audio issues. They're not able to hear you in the audience.
Yeah, I'm double checking the settings right now. So, okay, looks like it's coming through. Okay, go ahead and start from the top with that question there, Beiter.
Start from the beginning, rolling it back.
Roll it back.
All right. Yeah. So I started off playing Exiles actually on Arma with Stone back in the day, Sergeant Stone, and then he got me into the team speak and all that stuff on the Cav, and we started playing. I played on the server for a bit, and then I signed up and enlisted because it looked like fun, and I said, why not? I had nothing else going on, and yeah, it's kind of the ball rolling. First ever SP I went to was a Prairie Fire SP back when we had the server for it, and they threw me in as an RTO, and I had no fucking idea what I was doing. As a radioman, having no idea how to use Acre, anything like that. They're just like, yeah, just here you go. And I remember Centeno sat there with me. He's like, all right, I'm gonna walk you through everything. You're gonna call for fire, and you're not gonna hit us with our own artillery, okay? I was like, you're putting a lot of faith in me, man, but all right.
Especially as a private.
Right. So after that, it kind of just started. It just kept going. I was really enjoying it. I really kind of it brought me back to like times when I was in the military, and really like that brotherhood and stuff like that. So like about 4 or 5 months later, I took the ASL position in 2-2, and then shortly after that, went up and became the went in as the 3-2's SL for a couple months, and then immediately was thrown into platoon leader in first platoon for about a good 3 months, I think, and then got pushed down back to second platoon, back home basically, and was running the show for a while. there as their PL till we had a change up above us, and Mackie took the CO position, and I applied for the XO position and got it, and that's where I'm kind of at. And
So there's a whole other part of your career in the Cav, though, right? Like the
yeah,
whole S3 side.
yeah.
When did that first happen?
So funny story about that. I had no idea how to use Eden, how to do any of that stuff when I first got into it. Like when I first like anything, I had no idea. Um, the only person that kind of like taught me from the ground up was Stuart, and he taught me how to do Zeusing, and I found that absolutely enjoyable and loved every second of it. Um, from there, it started off as just making just like SPs and stuff like that, doing some cool things with SPs. Then started going into like the platoon FTXs, and then Stuart and I would kind of go back and forth, and we'd work together doing some cool stuff. And then we were like, "Hey, let's make the company FTX." So we reached out at the time, and we were just like, "Let's see if they'll let us do it." They let us do it, and it was great. It was on Tanoa. I still remember it. It was a lot of fun. Um, But we didn't use Eden. Built everything as like a mission SQF and saved it, and then just imported it onto the mission file, and it worked somehow without blowing up. It was yeah, yeah. It was awesome, and from there it was just like, yeah, you guys are like. From there at the time, like I was the ASL still with 2-2, and Stuart was still in 4-2, and we were just kind of like working together and making these cool missions and coming up with cool ideas. Um, after that company FTX, I actually got with me and him both got with Morozov, and he was part of the S3 team at the time. And he was like, "Yeah, man, like I'll." Like, he kind of walked us through how everything gets done on Eden, and kind of gave us like a basic rundown of how Eden works and how it kind of like did everything. It was just like it's kind of a sandbox. Do what you got to do, build what you want, make it work, and see if it works, kind of thing. So
Yeah.
did a lot of time tinkering on that, trying to come up with cool mission ideas. Um, and then I shortly after that I applied for the S3 position, got in, and just kind of worked my way up through there, just making missions, good quality missions. I made some bad missions, don't get me wrong. There's always a handful of those thrown in there. I remember horrible missions that I've run that people still enjoyed, but like looking at it now, comparison to like all that stuff is just it was rough.
Right.
So uh, shortly after that, I became a senior, and then uh, Dunn stepped down, and then I took the lead position, and I've been trying to change S3 for the better ever since, and still continuing to do so. Got a lot of
Nice.
special projects out, a lot of cool events we did this year, with the 24-hour event in March for the crewmen. Um, did the Vietnam ops, which were a massive success. We had a lot of people coming out for that. Urban Anvil. This past couple weekends, like 2 weekends ago, we did the 90s ops with Cat Medical. That was a huge success, minus the server issues that we had and all the other problems that we ran into with the new system that we were using. So it's been a fun time. Looking back on it now, it's like it was a lot of work, but it was 100% worth it.
Looks
Yeah.
like we got. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
I was just gonna say pros and cons of mission making is like figuring out those weird tweaks with server backend stuff, messing with mod packs. That's all like tied into it as part of the burden of making fun for everyone else.
Yeah. But the best part about doing those mission making is just being able to watch the carnage that you create unfold in front of you as the mission maker is like the eye in the sky, because you can just watch how everything works and tweak things, push things, making sure everyone has fun and everyone at least gets to shoot their rifle at least once during an operation. So
Kind of like playing God.
yeah, hence the reason why we're called Godfather sometimes.
And very warm welcome to you as well, Tim. Thank you for joining us on today's Cav Cast.
Thank you for having me.
Yep, folks, we brought in Oldham because he is a longtime friend of Lieutenant Biter, and nobody embarrasses people like their longtime friends. So,
Oh
figured
yeah.
it'd be only natural to bring him in.
Don't worry, all the jokes are gonna be 3/4 off today.
Yeah, there you go. All right. So kind of jumping back over to the EXO side of things, can you kind of describe your responsibilities and duties as an executive officer and how you tackle those on like a day-to-day basis?
Essentially, I'm just the right-hand man to our CEO, Mackie, and they me and him are work really well together. We've worked well before when he was the XO and I was platoon lead and all that stuff. And when I was under him when he was the PL, and I was the 3-2 SL. So I think overall it was we've known each other for a while now. We worked really well together. We even met up when he came back from his deployment out in Virginia Beach for a couple of drinks. So that was a good time. But now it's just me and him and Jupiter all kind of work together, and make sure anything important that needs to get put out gets put out to our basically our guys below us, and that way they can pass on information, following the chain of command, all that stuff. But daily duties is I always still check in on everybody, make sure everyone's still doing okay, checking in with the platoon sergeants, platoon leaders, and all that stuff, making sure all the squads are good. Try to go to their SPs. I haven't been able to go to them because of my recent injury, but I will be going to them soon. But going to them, making sure like I am seen and not just kind of like in the shadows, just here but not here, sort of thing.
Right.
So,
lurking behind everything.
Yeah, being an active member inside the Charlie, because I think that is something that everybody needs, is like active company leadership, just to kind of really like show that we are together in this. We're not just here just because we're here, sort of thing.
Yeah, I mean, I think obviously being active leadership across the board, all the way from section leader all the way up to regiment, is important because I mean you are the face of that level, right? So it's important that you are around, hanging out, talking to people, playing games, whether it's your specific AO's game or just playing games in general and building that camaraderie. And then I'm just curious, were you Army or what branch did you serve?
I was a former U.S. Navy. I was a aircraft structure mechanic, so
Nice.
it was did my 4 years and got out.
Nothing wrong with that, man.
Yeah, got my benefits and said deuces because I did not like the way everything was going, especially with my last command that I was at.
Right. Yeah. Sometimes it's like, I mean, it ties in here, right? Like if you don't have good leadership, it's like, not for me.
Yeah.
So talking a little bit more about that EXO role, what kind of challenges do you think you're going to face in the position? And using your past experiences like a platoon leader, how do you think you would overcome some of those common challenges?
A lot of the challenges just usually it just comes down to just like simple things, like handling everything at the lowest level possible. In my opinion, is like the best way to handle certain situations. If it can be handled at the squad level or platoon level, and not have to be elevated up any higher unless if it's like dire need to, is the best course of action. Because two people having an argument in a squad, or two different squads having an argument, is best handled between them sitting down and having an adult conversation about it, rather than them complaining up the chain and then having us to be the overseers of everything. Like, all right, you guys have to do it this way, or else you guys are both getting in trouble. Like, there's no point in that. My view is just handle everything at your level. Obviously, if it's not getting fixed and not changing and nothing's getting any better, that's when you take it up.
Right.
But like challenges wise, I don't really like. I know there's gonna be challenges. I don't really see any like future challenges other than just personnel, like just leaving or just like moving around stuff like that is just going to be keeping the healthiness of Charlie Company as a whole up. I know it's hard to do that, especially with how old this game is and how the popularity has been slowly dwindling down.
Yeah.
We're all hoping and praying that Arma 4 gets announced sometime in the near future, and that will extremely boost our recruitment once we make that transition to Arma 4 and all that stuff. But recruitment's always been a like sliding slope of just it has up and downs. Sometimes we're healthy and all that stuff. Sometimes we're not, but it just all depends on the situation and how everything's going. It also depends on the time of the year. Like summertime has always been the hardest from my past couple of years being in the Cav when it comes to recruitment and retention, is because summer vacation people are usually either going out and taking like ELOAs or discharging because they have stuff going on and they want to be able to spend time with their families, which is totally understandable. This is a volunteer organization. We don't want to take away your entire time. So the biggest challenge is just trying to maintain the numbers that we have and hopefully grow them and expand more.
Oh yeah, for sure. And I mean, a lot of that ties back to creating quality missions, keeping people retained because the missions are fun, whether it's doing those like one-off like Vietnam ops or whatever. It's sorry, I have a new dog and he's going to be squeaking the toy in the background. There's nothing I can do about that, so
You're good.
but yeah, that's the key, right? Like creating those super engaging fun ops. So if you can continue to do that, man, like I don't think you'll have any problems. Like I don't think anybody will forget those one-off ops like Operation Florida Man, and just the chaos that ensues with things like that.
Oh yeah, all the fun times and all that stuff. Yeah, having those those operations that are like we always call them special operations. They're always good to throw in there, like once every quarter or something like that, once every couple of months, just to kind of change up the dynamic um, of like what's going on throughout the year. Because you go throughout the year and you have so many ops and stuff like that every month, and they're usually like a Charlie focused operation or a Bravo focused operation, and have them like we're all using the same stuff, we're all getting used to, and just being able to shoehorn in or just kind of like pave the way to be like, hey, we're gonna go back in time and do like a '90s. We're gonna go back in time and do the Vietnam stuff, and like changing it up and giving people something different is like it changes the culture a bit. Kind of makes everyone like enjoy it a little bit more. And even like with the Florida Man stuff, it was with our I think it was with our normal preset plus an extra mod thrown in there for the map and stuff like that. But like loadouts and everything was all customized. It was all supposed to be a lot of fun and everything like that. And I think it was a pretty good, successful, fun time for everybody that was involved. And
Everybody but the six.
yeah, yeah. Trying to wrangle a bunch of Florida men is definitely not a fun time, but nonetheless, I think it was overall a good success. I want to try to do more of those fun style missions in the future and going on into next year and so on after that. And hopefully by that point, we can start getting planning stuff out for Arma 4 at that point and getting some fun missions pulled out there.
Yeah, I mean we can only hope. I just honestly I really hope they announce it sometime this winter so that it's released by next summer. Like that would be ideal.
Yeah,
God, here's hoping, right?
Yeah, I
here
can't wait
is
for that.
hoping. So was there any particular event or situation or accomplishment while you were a platoon leader that made you especially like you know proud to be a platoon or to be their platoon leader?
Yeah, I think it was this goes for both platoons that I was in charge of. I think it was just maintaining and growing the healthiness of that platoon um during the time that I was in both. I didn't have a whole lot of time with first platoon, but like I was trying to help build like my goal while I was there to have done by the end of the year, if I was still there, was to get first squad and first platoon built up enough to be able to split them up and have a full platoon of 4 squads there. Unfortunately, I wasn't able to stay long enough to do that and for see that get fully through. But I was able to. They were able to grow in numbers exponentially, and then once I went down to second platoon, I was still checking in with guys in first platoon and making sure they're still doing good, and just seeing all the leadership and all the guys that like I've known for a while kind of grow and become like the squad leaders and the assistant squad leaders that they are, and just become like these fantastic people and fantastic leaders who just have really kind of like made me realize like, yeah, this is something that I want to keep doing, because like I love seeing other people grow like around me, so that way it's not feeling like I'm not the only one moving up. I'm also trying to get everyone else to kind of come up with me and stuff like that. So like watching the platoon grow in strength, and dealing with the hardships that came with it, but being able to like adjust to them and kind of make amends and try to make everything a little bit better around us, and promote that like leadership and the camaraderie and all that stuff, to kind of really promote like this, like the healthiness of these two platoons, is perfect in my opinion.
Nice. I mean, that's
Yeah.
like perfect, isn't it?
Yeah. And I mean, you didn't just go into a healthy platoon, right? Like you took over first platoon. And every platoon goes through their cycles of few members and many members, but you took over first platoon in a particularly complicated cycle, didn't you?
Yeah, first platoon, I took them over, and it was shortly after they had some leadership issues in platoon level. Not saying anything bad against any of those people. I think there's just a lot of things that went wrong, and nothing like communication, stuff like that, that happened. And uh, me and uh, me and Ku were able to work together and kind of like build a healthy relationship with the squads as much as we can, to show them like, hey, we're here for you guys. If you guys need anything, please reach out to us. We'll do whatever. We'll bend over backwards and do whatever we got to do to make it work. Just let us. You got to talk to us and let us know. We're gonna put you guys first over what we got going on, because we'd rather take the beating from above than you guys get hit with it directly, because we can at least take it and be like, all right, hey, like here's what messed up, but it's okay. We'll work through it. We're here for you. And being able to.
So sorry, I just want to kind of stay on a certain line with this, but so like you came into the spot and you detected immediately that there was like an issue with the relationship between squad leaders and the platoon level leadership. How did you identify that?
Well, first thing I did was I met with Kuv, right after I took over, and I was like, all right, so like give me the TLDR, like what's going on and all that stuff. And he was telling me like there was a lot of issues from uh a a former platoon sergeant that happened. Like I said, I'm not trying to talk smack on anybody, but
Right, right.
it was there was a lot of issues with internal conflicts with them trying to like the platoon sergeant beforehand trying to like uh turn against the PL and a bunch of other stuff, and it was just like, okay, obviously there's an issue. We got to try to amend this issue by meeting with them and letting them know like, hey, like we're not going to be having these kind of issues. We're going to be trying to work with you guys on this one. Like let's avoid doing this. Let's help rebuild this relationship and kind of like revitalize your trust in platoon leadership, and make you guys actually want to show up to SPs and operations and stuff like that, and not feel like it's a burden on your life.
Yeah, trust unfortunately is one of those things. I mean, it's easy to lose, but I mean, it's hard as hell to get back. I'm really, really glad that you guys were able to earn that back from them.
Oh yeah, and it took time, and it took time, and took effort showing up and making sure that they knew that we're here for them and all that stuff, and um trying to build up another squad, because first squad at the time was struggling with leadership issues with us, like squad leader and stuff like that, and having them basically go through a new leadership role and all that stuff was it really felt good. I watched the first squad kind of just grow up on its own, and like with the people that were in it that took up the leadership role and took up that like mantle of like being like, I wanna lead the squad for the better, and being able to do that, which was really really nice to see. So it just like it makes it all worth it in the end. You know what I mean?
For sure, 100%. So that's kind of a nice segue into the next question that I have. What kind of steps do you take, as a leader in Charlie Company to foster teamwork and cohesion within the company to, uh, you know, to make sure that you have successful, missions and section practices and FTXs?
Um, well, biggest thing is just talking to the leadership, talking to the squad leaders, talking to the assistant squad leaders, just getting to know the troopers. It's the biggest thing really is just being able to sit down and like explain to them certain things and like being well like what helps is just being well versed in what they're trying to teach at like SPs and stuff like that and being able to be like a lending hand sort of thing, but not be overbearing, but like finding that medium like that medium ground sort of area where it's like, all right, this is your SP, you're in charge of it. I'm going to say my piece to help you out to kind of explain this a little bit further, but you're still going to be running it this way. And like I remember sitting down with First Platoon's former SL a few times, kind of explaining to him like, hey, like before their SP and stuff like that, like, hey, like I know you got questions about this, so let me run this through you real quick. Like, all right, this is what we're going to try to teach in this aspect. This is what we're going to try to do. I want you to run it. If you have any questions, of course you can always ask me, but it's your show, your job, you're the leadership, you're the backbone of this. I don't want them looking at me like I'm leadership and I'm just kind of overshadowing you. I want you to lead at the front. I'm kind of here in the back, just like if you need a hand, this is how you do it.
Okay, I'd say that's a pretty solid answer. Oldham, what's been your perspective of Biter's development as a leader?
Yeah, do you believe everything he just said, or is he lying?
I believe about half of it. No, actually, it's one of those things where it's like, like we said earlier, me and him have been friends for quite some time. We've been in various gaming groups together. We've been side by side for, God, I think going on like 10 years or something like that now.
Yeah, I think so.
So to know to know him as long as I have and to see the developments that I have as long as I have from being, some snot-nosed 16-year-old kid when I was barely much better at 17 to being the person that he is now and having the leadership role that he does in the Cav, there's been just an exponential amount of growth and leadership development that I've seen come from him in the last few years alone. And I do really feel like it's one of those things where, you never stop learning. Every day that you get older is another day that you could still learn something new. But to jump into the positions and the roles that he's had so quickly, and, the bigger aspect of like time in the cab, a couple of years isn't really that much when you look at people who've been here for, 10, 12, 13 years. So to be able to do the things that he's done and have the success that he's been able to do in such a short amount of time has just honestly been, uh, I guess for lack of a better word, like it really just leaves me in awe that he's able to do so. But then I remember again, where he came from, what he's learned, what he's done, and it doesn't shock me at all that he's been able to accomplish and do the things that he does.
He never, like, he never takes a break. It's so hard to get him to take a break.
Yeah, it takes me going to the emergency room, take a break.
Yeah,
That's
I mean, honestly, even when we were all up there visiting, like there was probably 2 or 3 times where he would just like disappear off to his computer room for, half an hour. Be like, all right, I just solved this gigantic fire of an issue. What's up? And we're like, dude, what the hell? You're on vacation. Act like it.
Yep, that sounds about right. Next, you were gonna say something?
I was gonna say I remember when you were on LOA. It was like I don't know, right before Florida Man, I want to say, and everyone had to keep yelling at you to stop responding because we were like talking about stuff that you weren't even involved in, but you kept butting in, and we were like, no, shut up, go away.
Go back on LOA.
And it was like literally beating you back every chance that we could because you couldn't help yourself. It was one of those things, it's just a testament to your work ethic. But I do have a question for both you and Oldham. Do you guys remember what game you guys first played together since you go back so far?
Yeah, Battlefield 4. It was it was
360, I think, right?
yeah, started on 360. It was a Battlefield 4 milsim. That ironically enough, one of our other friends who's not here, Stone, also was a part of that as well. So the three of us have known each other for far too long.
That's awesome.
But yeah, it started on Battlefield 3 or Battlefield 4, sorry. And it's funny because I remember at the time that Biter came in, to that milsim, I was the lead DI at that time, and I was running his boot camp. And like within the first 20 minutes, he had a bad frag, and I sat there and I yelled at him for 20 minutes. And then we just became like instant friends afterwards. Like once we were done, and it wasn't like in that professional setting anymore. It was like,
Yeah.
dude, like you got to learn to aim. And we just started just kind of like dogging on each other, and it just
Yeah.
grew from that to where we were just basically inseparable at that point.
Do you
Nice.
remember the Do you remember the Claymore?
I try not to.
Oh, yeah, that was a fun incident.
There was
Well,
quite a
now you
few.
gotta tell it. You can't leave us hanging on.
That's
Yeah.
your
You have to tell the
story.
story behind it.
That's
So,
yours, Spider. That's all you.
so we were it was shortly after that. Me and Oldham and a few other guys with our group at the time. We were doing a AIT, and like this portion they had its oh god, what was that? I think it was a Gulf of Oman. I think it was the map that we were doing it on. I can't remember.
Yeah. BCT was Firestorm and
Yeah,
AIT was Oman. That's how much it's burned into my mind that I still
Wow.
remember it 10 years later.
there was this part where they had to attack through like from an open field to a city landscape, and me and Oldham were stuck in the same building together, and we were both machine gunners, and our goal was to obviously kill these guys and make it a little more challenging, but not go like too hard on them, so that way they can at least try to pass. Um, and I remember I was like, all right, Oldham, I'm gonna go place this claymore down real quick at the back door, so that way if they don't come running up these stairs, we got something at least to make sure we don't die. And he's like, okay. And then like 10 minutes into the firefight, I'm like, hey, I'm gonna go downstairs and go for the flank, completely forgetting about the claymore. And he's like, wait, don't. And as soon as I did it, I hit the claymore. Like I saw the wires in front of me, and I was like, oh shit. And hit the claymore, detonated, and it killed both of us and dropped the building. And we sat there on the Xbox party chat, and he's like, I'm gonna fucking kill you. Like, I'm gonna strangle you. The pure disappointment in his voice really sentiment the true friendship that we have now.
I
I
think what got
will.
me the most about that was the fact that as you said you were leaving, I said, okay, go out the window. And you're like, no, it's fine. It wasn't fine.
It was not fine.
Yeah, that's like a quintessential Battlefield moment where it's like, oh yeah, like totally not going to be a big deal, and then all of a sudden the entire building's falling apart because of one, chain reaction type situation.
Yep.
So all right, tying back into the mission making side of things on Arma, can you kind of explain what you do in that role and how does it fit into the overall like Cav experience? Because I think a lot of people don't understand what goes into mission making. So can you kind of like, go through that process with us?
Yeah, so like a lot of the process is like the biggest challenge, at least the biggest challenge about the whole mission making process isn't like the designing the mission and making it workable. It's just trying to come up with an idea for it, and if it's feasible, to be done in about 2 hours. Once you get that kind of figured out, you got to go into Eden and get you got to go on. You got to go in there, figure out what map you want to use, what map will work for it, all that stuff. And it usually like the mission design process between like placing down the units, making sure the scripting's all there, making sure the mission works, and when you spawn in, the slots aren't messed up. There isn't a giant explosion that kills everybody at base because you forgot to move something out of the way, and Arma likes to clips things through. And next thing you know, you have a flying tank going through the air, and half the platoon's already dead. So like that whole process usually takes like for a solid good mission that you're not trying to like just make real quickly to make something work, can take anywhere from 8 to 12 hours of just editing time.
Yeah.
To just like make sure it's good and it works and it's doable within that time frame. And then after that, you got to go through make the op board, and get all the information that you need on the slide that's pertinent to the mission, but not like so much that where you know everything about the enemy, where they're still like, hey, like this is what the situation is, but you don't know where all the enemies are, sort of thing, and like being able to like make that dynamic situation work, getting it posted and getting it, and all that stuff, and getting people signed up for slots, talking to the OIC of the operation, and making sure that they understand the plan that's that you want to see going forward for the mission, like the overall plan, and making sure they're not like trying to do something that's completely out of left field to make it work, and just be like, all right, like, hey, like, for example, if like an airdrop, like if you're dropping into a specific area and you're like, hey, like there is a specific spot where I cleared out land for you guys to do the airdrop in, and the mission story says like this, whoever it is, went through and cleared it out for you guys, this is where you're going to be dropping, instead of them trying to figure out somewhere else 5 kilometers away and having the whole entire platoon walk 5 kilometers to the objective, sort of thing.
Right.
So like after that, it's just coming down to game day, essentially, is making sure it's all working, getting the mission uploaded onto our panel. If it's a complicated mission, as in like the Vietnam operations and like our special operations, just in general, we usually do this ahead of time on our dev server and throw it up on there on a dedicated server and test it out on there and see if there's any issues that come about it, and make those changes and go through different like variations. I think these 90 ops that we just ran had like, it was like version like 17 by like the final one, I believe. So like a lot of changes can happen between like just the technical side of things, and it's just like adjusting parameters and adjusting the settings and stuff like that in the mission file itself, and not so much the actual mission, to make sure everything works. And like I think on the 90s ops and the Vietnam ops, I spent months working on these operations, making like the mission wise I built them, but like making sure everything worked functionally and operated as what it was supposed to be took just 10 times longer, because you just want to make sure it's perfect, so that way when it goes out, it's good to go. You don't have to worry about anything. Any last minute changes can be easily done in Zeus. And then when it comes to finally the mission itself, when you're running it, making sure people are doing the right thing, doing making sure like resupplies are on their way for guys if you need it, spawning in different stuff for the for like if like a aircraft gets blown up, for because Arma just gets teleported across the map for some reason, or gets like inserted into the ground for no reason because it glitches. Being able to be like Johnny on the spot and be able to fix any sort of like instant issues that you know how to fix, and being able to have that in your memory of like, all right, this is how this is supposed to go, sort of thing.
Yeah.
So, and then just making sure everyone has a fun time. Like that is my goal in every operation. My operation can go to absolute chaos and nothing goes the way I plan, but being able to like at least try to make it as fun as possible for everyone else on the ground, and be able to give them a good experience as much as I can as a mission controller is the key thing. And that's why I try to preach to the other mission controllers that like are underneath me in S3, is being able to just make the mission fun, but keep the mission as simple as possible. We made that a standpoint in S3, is the KISS standard, which is keep it stupid simple.
Yeah.
So that way the mission is as simple as it is. It could be as simple as, you guys are here, you guys are raiding these 2 areas. The more complex the mission is, the harder it is to make it fun, and the harder it is to make it work. The simpler it is.
I mean, it also restricts you as a mission creator when it actually comes, time to put, tires to the pavement, because you can't make adjustments on the fly. You can't add, Zeus stuff if you have it so set in stone to the point where it's like, well, no, this is the exact amount of infantry that's going to be there. You can't add any, you can't have a QRF. So it's like leaving it a little open-ended, like you said, almost makes it better in the long run, because it gives you more options to customize it.
Right. And like another thing too is just like knowing, as the mission controller, you not only are helping out the guys on the ground, but you're also playing as the like enemy general, essentially. It's just kind of be like, if I want to make this an interesting battle, I'm going to make it as dynamic as possible. I'm not going to do the human wave offensive that the Russians did back in World War II, which is just send people charging towards enemy machine guns and tanks and stuff like that. you're going to dynamically set them up where they're going to set up a scouting force, see what's up ahead, and then they're going to go for flanks, and they're going to go for snipers, they're going to go for IDF, spotters, that sort of stuff, and being able to like make it as dynamic as possible, but also make it feel like you're not trying to just kill everybody on the blue force side is like the biggest kind of like balancing act that you're trying to do as a mission controller. It's just trying to make sure people are having fun, but it's not feeling like it's a slog to fight through, and they're not like just mowing down hundreds of enemies because you're just constantly throwing guys at them.
Right. Yeah, it's all about scaling. Yeah, that's what
Yeah.
Hilberg said. So, question from the audience, since you were talking about the process of creating missions and all that kind of good stuff, and one-off missions, do you have any cool scary ops coming up for October that you want to talk
Yes.
about?
So we do have a Halloween op that we are planning on running for this year. I was going to make it, and I still have the mission file for it. Unfortunately, I had to I had to step down from making it because obviously I'm pretty limited on stuff, and it's coming down to crunch time. So I passed it along to one of the seniors to work on, and he is already on course of making this. Sounds like a really fun mission at the moment. I haven't seen it yet, but I am hoping it's going to be a good time. I had a really cool mission plan, but there's always next year for this fun time mission. So
Nice. Cool. And then my last kind of follow-up question on all that. Are there any Arma missions that you've created that you're particularly proud of, and have like a little detail that you think was like really cool or anything like that on your end of mission making?
yeah, there's actually two that I'm actually really proud of. The first one was the actual first official operation that I ran on a Saturday as an S3 mission controller back in the day when I first got into S3. Um, it was the concept was the players were an acting QRF where they had to immediately get geared up, get on the helicopters, and go to a fob that is currently under attack. It was called Operation Purple Horizon, and they flew into a immediately hot LZ where there was already tracer fire going on, and there was rockets going out, AAs like man pads going out, and just watching like the buffaloes going in one at a time, dropping off loads of troops, and like the troops immediately going into contact as soon as they get on the ground and going guns blazing to help defend the fob, and just watching that all play out from a mission controller's aspect, I thought was the coolest shit. Um, and like that whole mission is that whole mission that played out was just like it played out really well, and I think it went really really well for me for as my first ever mission. A lot of people really enjoyed it. It went a little bit longer than I think, like 2 hours. I think it went almost to 3 hours because of the scaling of it. But that initial insert, that hot insert, was the coolest thing. Um,
Yeah.
and then the last one that I really enjoyed that took me like God, it took me 3 days to try to figure out one line of code and one line of script for it to work. But it was my final operation in God, what was the op called? Hang on, I gotta look. But it was part of a campaign that I ran recently. It's campaign Outcast. That was the last mission there that we did. Ring of Fire, where like everyone spawned in, and I told everyone in the op board and like in the briefing, I'm like, hey, like, make sure you guys have your radio volumes turned up because I added special audio and stuff like that. I stole audio from Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2 like radio chatter, threw it in there. I had like planes flying overhead. I had like AI planes flying overhead. I had like planes getting shot down. I had artillery rounds going out. I had HIMARS firing. All scripted events to like just to make it feel like you guys are actually in an active war zone. This is like an active battle that's going on. There was tanks driving out, all that cool stuff, and like the hardest part about it was just getting everything to work because Arma AI is stupid. As much as I
Yeah.
hate it,
No,
it's
that's true.
sometimes dumb. And it was like the biggest struggle. I remember sitting down with a few guys in our scripting staff and our dev team just for like hours and like days, just trying to figure out like certain things, how to get them to work, how to like get it to all work properly. And thankfully enough, it worked out as well as it did. I think I really hope it went for that. Like I had a really cool like like this is awesome. Like I'd love to feel this in an operation. I'm hoping that kind of got projected to the rest of the troopers that are out there, and not just like, oh, this is some really loud noise. I can't hear anything anybody's saying, but oh well. But yeah, I think that was probably like one of the other highlights.
Nice. Love it. Love it. Love the missions. And I've been to quite a few of yours, and they're very enjoyable. So continue up that good work, man.
I will say too, to add into that, I remember that specific op you were talking about where you had like all the jets flying over and everything before that and stuff. That was one of the first ones I was able to really come back to and attend at because I just got my schedule changed, so I was able to start making ops again. So for that to be the first one back that I was able to really do in a long time, really kind of like restarted the whole love that I had for Arma and the ops I were doing. Because like after a while, you know, if it's the same stuff, if it's the same setting where it's like the only action and noise and ambiance going on is whatever you and your squad is doing, you know, that kind of gets old after a while. It's like, okay, it's the same thing but on a different map. But having that outside element to where you can really get immersed with it, I think is one of the important things that people should always try to do if possible is maintaining that immersion and that feeling of like, holy shit, we can actually do this with a now 10-year-old game.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I
it is
think
pretty wild that a 10-year-old game is still that enjoyable.
I was actually there for that first stop that you talked about, Biter. We lost one of the helicopters in that hot LZ, didn't we?
Yeah, one of them, I think struck a tree or took small arms fire and crashed at the helipad, and it was like the third chopper. So like the fourth one had to make like a tight landing somewhere else because the fob itself was not ideally made for landing a helicopter in. Alpha just came in, just kind of just put it perfectly in the right spot, and just able to offload and load up the guys from the Buffalo that went down and fly off back and do orbital casts with their miniguns and stuff like that. So it was pretty cool.
Yeah, you've done some pretty enjoyable campaigns. I've really enjoyed all your operations personally. Um, but kind of moving on here to the next topic. Well, kind of the next topic. How would you, or like, how does your experience as an officer in Charlie Company kind of inform your approach to mission making in Arma 3 and vice versa?
Um, well, so I usually go for a lot of Charlie designed operations because I find those are, in my opinion, a lot more fun. Um,
What?
and
Charlie
no,
bias.
yeah,
Charlie bias.
no offense to Bravo, but I enjoy doing the Charlie stuff and being boots on the ground or like doing an air assault and doing stuff like that. Because you get there faster, you get into the action faster, and you're relying solely on your squad and your weapons teams and all that stuff to do a lot of the damage and handle a lot of the stuff that's going on. Plus having the cast assets around and doing all sorts of cool gun runs and stuff like that. And then like I find those more enjoyable, and being where I'm at in Charlie Company to like S3 stuff, like I try to make it like as line infantry as possible when it comes to doing stuff like that. Now I'm trying to branch out and do more Bravo style mechanized operations with recon focused operations because Cav scouts and stuff like that. But those are a lot harder to balance in my opinion. Mainly because of like the technological advantage that Bravo has with the mechanized infantry with the Panders and stuff like that. You really have to throw them up against like equal forces, like mechanized forces or armored forces, to give them a really good challenge. And sometimes it's really hard to narrate that for missions, such as like trying to like make it like a small island nation have T-80s and T-72s and stuff like that, and being able to like give them a fighting chance to like at least attempt to take out a striker dragoon and stuff like that. But it's doable. It's a lot more finer balance in when it comes to Bravo focused operations than it does to Charlie. Because Charlie, you can put them up against militia forces, and it could give them a hard time if you play the militia forces right, like doing hit and run tactics or snipers and like getting them caught in ambushes and stuff like that. So it's a little bit of like more of a balancing act when it comes to Bravo and then to to Charlie, but then again, I've had more time in Charlie to understand the aspects of Charlie than I do Bravo. So if I were to spend more time with Bravo and kind of see how they do their missions, see how they run their SPs and stuff like that, I could try to, make more missions for them in the future.
I'm pretty sure they wouldn't be opposed to you tagging along on some of their FTXs and stuff.
Oh yeah.
Um, so looking into the future, what are your goals in the Kev, and um, you know, like as far as being in leadership, or in S3, what's your end goal? What's your I guess summit?
So like, I'm just gonna keep doing what I'm doing. Whether I move up or not is up to the cards ahead of me. It's kind of at this point, I'm kind of in this position where it's like, all right, I feel like I'm kind of at my I'm at my point right now where it's like I have done a lot, and I'm gonna continue to do what I'm doing and just keep going from there. Like for like S3 side of things, like I'm right now working on trying to plan events for the future. Not just like the ending of this year and like the end of the 24-hour that's coming up for the end of the year, but like stuff going into next year, and getting the FTXs planned for Charlie Company, specifically to have some more dynamic style missions and giving some more like something different than we normally do, coming up with different ideas for missions and stuff like that instead of what the normal FTX is, and trying to like just try to do more with this, like pull this game as much as I can to get as much like squeeze as much like good content as I can out from this 10-year-old game.
Yeah.
So
So
the rumor that you're going for my job is not accurate.
No, that is accurate, and I did take your job partially for about 30 minutes. I still have that screenshot.
You can
also
have it, man. If I had to appoint, one person, yeah, it'd be you for sure, brother. 100%.
that does lead me to the question, actually going to a S3 standpoint of mission making. When can we expect Operation Lawnmower?
April of next year.
I think you owe our listeners an explanation on that one.
Oh no. Oh man.
Yeah, go ahead.
Oh.
How many days
Okay.
since
See,
accident at your house?
See, before he goes into this, what's really ironic about it is when I was up there, he almost cut his finger off again with the same lawnmower, and I told him, if you're gonna go near it, turn it off. And the idiot didn't listen, and look who was right.
Okay, listen. That didn't need to get broadcasted out to everybody, but oh well now.
Yeah, I did.
Oh, whatever. I'll write your DCS later. It's fine.
Oh,
No, honest to God, it was just, I was trying to move something out of the way and not like, and at the time I had a lot of stuff on my mind because it was the Friday of the first operation of that night for the 90s ops, and I was like, all right, I got to get all this stuff done. I got to get all this stuff done at the house. I got to get this stuff, and then I can get the prep work done for tonight and make sure everything's good to go. So I was trying to cut the lawn. There's something on the right side of my mower, and I was like, oh shoot, let me grab this out of the way real quick. And then, like, for context sake, it was in the back right tire near it, and it was like nowhere near the blades. So I was like, let me just grab this real quick, move it out of the way, and toss it. And apparently, I'm just an idiot, which, truth be told, is kind of a given. But just went to go grab it, it caught my like the blade caught 2 fingers on my right hand, and next thing I know, I was on the way in an ambulance on the way to the ER. So it was I felt like a complete idiot because this was the dumbest thing I think I've ever done. But hindsight's 2020, I guess, and it's just like it. Realistically, it could have. It's completely avoidable, and it was just terrible on my end to do. But at the end of the day, I didn't lose the whole hand. I just missing one finger, and barely of it that is, and I still have full range of motion and all that stuff. So like, just gonna just gonna go ahead and just knock it up to me being stupid.
So
You're a
does
statistic
that
now.
I am the reason
you're
why.
you're like the 1 in 10 men, like, or 1 in 10 people, cuts their hand with a lawnmower despite all the warnings.
Yeah, I am the reason why there are safety warnings on those now.
Yeah,
So-
hindsight's 20/20, and your fingers are 9.5.
Yes.
Oh. So is it safe to say that a trip to the emergency room while expelling, gratuitous amounts of blood is the only way to get you to actually take a serious LOA?
Well, that
Wait,
not being able to
never
use-
mind. You didn't
I'm
even
still-
take the LOA.
I'm still
Yeah.
on it.
You didn't take the LOA until after the weekend's operations.
Yeah, I had to make sure it was there. Literally, that Saturday, I was there for the mission, and I was like, all right, I'm going to need somebody to be my right hand, literally. I'm going to be there to make sure everything goes well. And then, like, I didn't, and I was like, that was a terrible idea, because I'm in excruciating amounts of pain right now.
Man.
So, I ended up taking the last day off, because I was like, I can't put my hand through that again. It was already in a lot of pain. So,
Yeah.
But yeah, finally, I'm still on I'm on LOA now.
Technically, yeah.
Technically, yeah. So I'm just kind of chilling for the next couple weeks off of work. Already got the surgery done, so just kind of just healing up now and trying to get full use back into my fingers.
Lots
All
of
right.
therapy.
Yeah,
Lots
lots
of
of
therapy.
therapy.
Cav therapy. Play video games.
Exactly.
Yeah,
You
but
gotta
Is
get
there any
those. You gotta get those like finger weight things.
Yeah,
know
like
what
the
I'm
ones
talking
where you have
about?
to like spread your hand out, like the
Yeah.
webbing one.
Yeah.
Oh,
Like,
God.
dude, those. I'm not even joking. You should look into
I
that.
was gonna get a stress ball to help like make a fist and stuff like that. Like I have full range of motion in both fingers, but like
Look
the tendons
into
are so tight, it's just like it's terrible sometimes.
so I use I think they're called a gyro ball, but basically it's got a gyroscope in it, and they usually have ones that have like an automatic start on them, but essentially it can give you like up to 30 pounds of torque, and you can like move your wrist and arm in different ways,
Oh,
and
yeah.
actually like rebuild your tendons and stuff. I use it for like carpal tunnel, because I used to be a outdoor guide, so we used a lot of like carabiners. So we were like, I think we would open and close carabiners like 10,000 times a year or something like that. So I had horrible carpal tunnel in my thumb, and I started using that gyro ball like every day, just during downtime. Like if I was ever just sitting for like 30 minutes, I just do random exercises with it. And it's fun. Like it's very like therapeutic. Like when you get a good rhythm with it, it just feels really good. So I highly recommend it. I think you can get them on Amazon for like $8. So look into it. It probably takes like 30 minutes to learn how to like do it, and then after that, it's just super super awesome recovery
Gives you a
and
solid
like
forearm
really really
workout.
fun to use. Yeah. Like my forearms are great. My like it gives you good grip strength, and like I said, it helps with all those like carpal tunnel tendons and all that good stuff that makes like us as gamers like have a horrible time. So
Yeah. Are we sponsored by them? Is that why we're bringing it up?
no, we should be though. They should make us. I'll make a 7th Cav one. That's the 7th Cav gyro ball. It'll be the first item we sell in the Cav store.
Just got the
yeah.
emblem on the inside of it.
Yeah,
Oh, snap! You were right. It is like $8 on Amazon for a gyro ball.
yeah. See, I'm a pretty good guesser.
Yeah, good guess.
Yeah, there you go. So yeah,
All right.
there's your tip for the day. On that note, unless anybody else has anything else to add, that will conclude our episode. Biter, you got anything else you want to share with everybody before we sign off?
Join the Cav.
Yeah.
Join the
Join
Cav.
the Cav.
Burton, you got anything else?
I got nothing, buddy. Great interview.
Oldham, you got anything?
No, I think I'm all good.
Awesome. All right. Well, Biter, thank you again for joining us. Thank you for all of our listeners and people sending in chats and all the good stuff. We appreciate you guys tuning in. Until next time, this has been the Cav Cast. I am your host, CSM NextX. Let us know who you guys want us to interview next. We have a couple people lined up, but we're always looking for more people. And if you are interested, definitely reach out to Burton and he'll get you scheduled on the list. But yeah, thank you for joining us, and until next time.